Commence primary ignition.
Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Dorian Kinji here. Played Cad Bane on the Book of Boba Fett on Star Wars Disney Plus. You're watching the Virtual Cantina Network. Have fun.
Hi, Rebels.
Happy Monday, everyone. Thank you, Dorian.
Thanks, Dorian.
From one tall, skinny blue dude to another tall, skinny blue dude. That really worked out.
Yeah, we're
Um,
keeping it in theme this week.
yeah, I wore one of my blue VCN shirts, so I
Oh,
was like, all right, let
nice.
me at least get I could have dressed up in my Imperial gear, but not this week. I leave for vacation on Thursday, and so it was not the week to be doing anything extra. That's for
Yeah,
sure. Too much to do last
bare
week.
minimum.
Yeah, there was a good amount of research that this episode took, though, because these best ofs are always a little more homework intensive.
hmm
So as we get into the chat, we want to come prepared for everyone. Like
Hi,
everyone
Jen.
who's joining us in the chat. Hello, Jen. Um, Welcome everyone. Tonight we're doing our best of Grand Admiral Thrawn. Before we get into that, as always, I think we're going to cover some of the big pop culture news. Hey, Sherry.
Hi, Sherry.
So one, Ashley, how was your weekend? How are you feeling?
I am
You were
feeling
sick last week.
a bajillion% better. Oh my God. Like 3 hours, like I was telling Jeff, 3 hours and then a walk in was totally worth it. Um, I had some kind of nasty virus that's been going around,
Hmm.
and it Sunday a week from Sunday is when I started feeling like the absolute worst. Like I wasn't getting better, I was just getting worse, and my voice was completely shot. Um, so they gave me some stuff to deal with that, and like clockwork, 4 days later, I was like, "Thank you." So,
Yeah,
thank you.
my
My
husband
immune
had the
system.
flu just last week, and
Yeah.
it's like
It
everything's
wasn't
going
really the
around.
flu. Like I tested negative for the flu. I tested negative for COVID. I tested negative for pneumonia. Like they did
Mm.
like a chest scan.
Yeah, at some
It's
point
just
they test you for everything. It's like short-term malaria at this point. It wouldn't
yeah.
surprise me the shit that's going around.
Seriously.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's just so nice to be back. And this week's been rough. Dealing with a lot, but just kind of powering through and trying to make good on some stuff promises and
Mhm.
stuff that I did for like my family, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, it's the best we can do is like keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
And thank you to everyone who's joining us in the comments. I hope you are
Thanks,
keeping
Sarah.
on with
Hi,
us.
Lori.
I see
Hi, John.
Jen, Sherry, John, Lori, Sarah. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Hope everyone is happy and healthy in the comments.
Yeah.
It has been like a rough couple weeks over here, over at the VCN, as to like who's sick, who can't do that, who needs help with this. It's
On
been
assignment. Yeah,
on
it's
assignment, has been like the running gag. They're on assignment, which means unconscious from the NyQuil.
ugh, true
It's been
story.
very that.
But
And
like
then
it's
I've
been
been
going around my job like a daycare. Like
yeah.
it's so
You're
tiny.
also in food service too, so it's like I just feel like and dealing with the public. I'm also in the office 5 days a week, so I have a similar situation where like one person gets sick and then bam, it's a domino.
Can
Just
you shut your door?
yeah,
Your
like
office.
everyone stay away from me. But yeah,
Do
it,
not
it
meant to
is. I have a nice
say that
short week though
fast.
because I leave for vacation Thursday. But as I
Yes.
was saying, like a million things needed to get done, and then
Mhm.
some other stuff didn't get done. But we're making our way through. I can't wait. But I
So exciting.
Yeah, I could use some tropical weather. We're going to Puerto Vallarta, so that'll be nice. Green tea, honey, and whiskey. All right, Lori, I like the
Yeah,
whiskey.
girl.
Um, yeah, I plan on having some honey and some vodka down on the beach of Mexico for at least a
That
couple
sounds good.
days. We have a nice few days planned, but this weekend was so busy that I didn't get
Mhm.
to do the one thing that I wanted to make sure I did in the pop culture, which was just to see Dune 2 on
Yeah,
the
me
IMAX
either.
screens. With that, if anyone in the comments has seen Dune 2,
Tell
I've
us.
heard nothing but excellent things.
Spoiler
Um,
free, obviously, but
yeah,
yeah, just tell us what you thought because
yeah, and
I'm
by the way,
excited.
it's based on a book from like 50 years ago, so I think the plot points are largely the same. But I did hear that
But
there
I've
are some
never read the book,
changes.
so I have no
Okay,
clue.
so you don't know the
Yeah.
the plot then. By the way, Dune is one of those weird things that
Rated R is super weird.
rated R is super weird. One of those weird things that like obviously influenced Star Wars in a big way. I mean, just the sandy planets and the spice, and everything
The
else.
Chosen One.
Right, the idea of the chosen one and this intergalactic empire. Like, I mean, there's probably YouTube videos for days about like how Dune like created Star Wars in a lot of ways and influenced a
Yeah.
whole like list of sci-fi
Sarah.
properties, right? So okay, the mini series from the 80s is so wild, Sarah. We rewatched it a couple years
Okay.
ago before the first Dune came out, and I forgot how nuts it is. Sting is in it. Like, it's so wild.
There's like a
Sean Young.
dog, like duct taped to a cat kind or a rat kind
Yeah.
of thing,
And
or
there's like a killer child, like who I love. Like, she's one of my
weird.
favorites.
So weird.
The whole movie is super weird, right? And Dune has been referred to, the book anyway, as unfilmable because it's so weird, and that's why it needed to be like a miniseries kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was David Lynch, right? So it's
Which is
right on.
automatically super weird. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is very 80s, Sarah. I really like the new retelling so far, and from what I've seen of Dune 2, and actually I did watch a couple of YouTube videos that were like spoiler-free reviews. And the thing is, I also know the plot though, and I've seen the old movie,
Yeah.
so you can really piece it all together. It seems like it's going to be great. I'm sad I didn't get a chance to see it, but like when I tell you, every IMAX screen in New York City was sold out, including
Really?
they were doing 3 a.m. showings. 3
Oh.
a.m. So
And it's a 3-hour movie, so
how are you living your life that you're going to the movie at 3 a.m. and what, getting out of the movie at 6 a.m.?
yeah.
Like, that's insane.
That's some night
So
owl stuff
I
right
thought it was a
there.
mistake. I was like, oh, is that a 3 p.m. that they just messed up the time on? But no, no, no. Like, it was a 3 a.m. showing, not a 3
Yeah.
a.m. You could imagine going at midnight and getting out at 3. We can all go clubbing till 4 in the morning once a year. But like, this was not that.
Yeah.
3 a.m. movie times. So,
I'm going to see it in Providence in IMAX. I think Thursday afternoon.
mhm,
And even then, like Thursday afternoon, like
yeah,
middle of the day,
it's
like
packed, right?
it's
Yeah.
it's almost completely sold out.
There actually aren't enough IMAX screens. And what's interesting is when they originally had their slate of November 2023, before the strike happened, they would have had a run on IMAX screens the entire time. Right now, there's something else out that has screens, and I don't know what it is, but it's one of the reasons. It's also a 3 hour movie. Like, it needs like a big window, and I think they're
Right.
going to extend their window. I've also heard rumors, and don't quote me on this. I am a licensee of Dune. We do the official costumes for Halloween, but I don't have any information on this. This is just like things
Yeah.
I heard. I heard they were going to bring in Dune 1 for limited dual showings because like
Oh my
Dune 2
god.
is such a hit. Like, it
Yeah,
made
yeah.
like $80 million this weekend,
Rated
which
R,
is
super
crazy.
weird.
Yeah. So
Looks
very
like my
exciting for
my
Dune.
prediction was correct
No,
so
it's
far.
still not going to be the highest grossing movie of the year, but it will make
Whoa.
big money. It'll make big money.
Yeah.
Like, it's already done almost 200 million globally. And I think it'll cross, like, the first one did 400 million. This one could cross 500 based on the
Yeah,
trajectory.
there's been like a lot
Yeah.
of really positive word of mouth.
Hmm.
Cast is huge. I heard
Yeah.
Austin Butler is like effing scary as hell, and he looks scary as hell in
Yeah.
it. What I learned was
Yeah.
a
He's
cool
the
little
main
tidbit.
antagonist.
Yeah. What I learned is that the whole scene on the Harkonnens planet was shot in infrared camera. So that's why it's that stark black and white because they
Oh,
wanted the Harkonnen planet to look weird and look completely alien and
yeah.
total contrast to what Arrakis looks like.
Hmm.
So that's going to be really exciting. I love like little behind the scenes filmmaking
Oh, yeah.
tidbits. So learning that,
Arrakis
I was
is
just like,
the,
bro, oh, the
yeah,
Dune planet. Yeah.
yeah, the where the sand is. Yes,
All
where
the
the dunes
Fremen,
are. Yes.
dunes.
There were so many someone put up a YouTube video and it was like how to pronounce the stuff, and it was like, all the weird words in Dune and like how to pronounce them phonetically and all that and what they all mean. Because Paul
Sandy Bro.
becomes, the cat, whatever, the
Lisan
cataract.
El Gaib.
Yeah, there's all this stuff. Paul becomes the Messiah is basically what it boils down to. But the real question
Anakin becomes
is,
the chosen one. Sorry.
yes, well, right, like so clearly George Lucas stole a lot of this, and by stole we mean highly influenced from. Uh, the real question though, and this is what the big question of Dune is Paul the hero or is he a false prophet?
Thank
So
you, Sherry. Thank
yeah,
you.
this is why I hate sand, all because of Dune. And we all need to go watch the movie and then have like a big, discussion about it. But there are plenty of YouTube videos out right now that talk about the intention of the novel, which is really a thinly veiled sort of dissection of religion and elevation of politicians who feel like they are God, and then once you're given power, wield it for bad things. So, not super surprising that a lot of that gets lost when you translate to a blockbuster movie. But I do think the message of the first Dune miniseries, like, largely hits on that. Apparently, this one hits it a little harder. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
excited to see it come to life because I'm hearing that it's a little bit closer to the intention of the book. Um,
Oh, that's a good thing.
yeah, and Zendaya has a ton of screen time. She was teased in the first movie for like I think she has like 6 minutes of screen time, but she
Hmm.
like is equal footing with Timothy in the second movie,
Yeah,
which is great.
my girls
So
in
I'm
Daya.
excited about that.
And I
Yeah.
heard Javier Bardem was really awesome in it too.
Hmm.
Uh, so that gives me hope. And I heard like Florence Pugh absolutely like slays it.
She
So
crushes everything. That
she
girl can do no
does.
wrong. I want
Seriously.
her in everything. Did we see, by the way? So Thunderbolts got a lot of press. Was it last week or the week before, where they were talking about the cast list because Yelena, played by Florence Pugh, is set to be the lead in that movie.
Yeah.
That's really that's not 100% like
Yeah,
Marvel
it's
confirmed, but
speculation. Yeah.
yeah, it's seeming like Bucky is not the lead, which I think a lot of people thought like he would have been in the one spot, given that he's like almost an original Avenger. He's in Captain America: The First
And also
Avenger. He's
he's
from
over
Phase
100 years
One.
old. So
There's that. He's also, to be fair, not the future of where we're headed. He's part of he's Phase One, and we are headed to Phase Five, into Phase 6 and 7. And as much as I love Bucky Barnes and the actor, like I think we're trending away from that, from that era.
right.
So we have to have him support. It's almost like in wrestling when you're nearing the end, you have to put over the people that are coming next. Like
Mhm.
he has to help put over Yelena, not that she needs the help, but everyone
Yeah.
else on the team. So he needs to be like a good support system where everyone else can like stand on his shoulders and make it work. Um, it's sort of what he helped with Captain America, like moving Sam in that direction, right? Like he was a
Yeah.
great wingman for Sam.
But
So yeah, so I think that he'll do the same for Yelena and the rest of the crew.
yeah.
Um, and I actually would love that kind of movie where Yelena's front and center because I thought she was the best part of the Black Widow movie too.
Oh yeah, she had so much heart in that movie, and I loved her in Hawkeye too. Her
Hmm.
scenes with Kate were just brilliant.
Oh my God.
And
Oh, Kate
even
Bishop.
her scene at the end of Black Widow with Val, um, it's supposed to be a very important moment with her, and here comes Val just stealing the show, and Yelena just snatches it right back.
Greatest. I mean, there's
So
a reason
so good.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus has so many Emmys. She's on the scene for 10 seconds and you're just drawn to her. The woman is
Yeah,
magnetic. Like everything
absolutely.
about her is incredible. It makes no sense that a woman seemingly without any type of superpowers is pulling the strings and has that much power over all these other people that could tear
Yeah.
her limb from limb, but yet you're just compelled to be like, "Well, Val, yeah, call me Val, but don't call me Val." Like there's so much to her like that
Yeah.
she can kind of do it all. I'm kind of in awe of it. Like she's just the best.
And also, John says it's certainly the closest to the book we've seen yet regarding
Mm,
Dune. Yet, in spite of the changes that they made, so
yeah.
that makes me hopeful. I mean, obviously, I haven't read the book. I'm fully
Well,
admitting it. I'm a
I was gonna
noob to
ask, did
it,
anyone read the book? Because I started reading it in college and I was like, what the F is this? I can't keep up. I can't pronounce half these words. I gave up. Like it was one of those because people told me to read the book. I just watched the miniseries. I rented it from Blockbuster and I was like, oh, this could be a really interesting read. And then I was like, I can't do this. This is too
yeah.
much. So I've read a bunch of explainers and I've read the Wikipedia. I feel like I've taken in enough content that I could have actually read the book at this point. Because there's so much like analysis around around this world that's been built. And again, like Star Wars takes a lot from it, as does a lot of other sci-fi. I feel like so many of the tropes that we take for granted in sci-fi, especially like big giant evil empires and a scrappy band of rebels, all these alien worlds, and just like the weird lore, like the world building is like nothing else. But I actually did see a review recently, I think yesterday, that said one of the big challenges with something of this material is you have to do a lot of telling, not showing,
Yeah.
which the rule in film is show don't tell. But like with this, you have to explain like what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
So there's
It
just a
is a
lot of
book.
standing around talking. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and there's a lot of voiceover narration, which I think a lot of people have mixed feelings on, right? Like there are plenty of people who are like, why are we doing a narration? Can't you just show me what's happening? We're sort of cheating your way at that point, like to,
And that's what I
but if
like about the
narration isn't
film.
right,
Like, it starts off with, like, Zendaya doing the narration, and then it kinda weaves back and forth with, like, you know, other people explaining things.
yeah,
Um, but I'm honestly, like, I've been so tired, like, catching up on my sleep because coughing all night doesn't really help you sleep.
hmm
Um, so I had Saturday off, and I put on Dune to rewatch, and I fell asleep before the Atreides even took, like, Arrakis.
Oh
I
no,
was
like
so I was
Act
like,
One,
Act 1, totally just
yeah,
zonked out. I woke up at 3 in the morning to, like, my Max menu screen, and I'm like, "Oh,
yep,
okay." So I tried it again last night. I made it a little bit further just before, like, when things start going sideways and shit's going sideways.
hmm
Um, like, Duke Leto's like, "I should have married you," and I'm like, "Everything's gonna go bad." And that's when I fell asleep. So
yeah.
after this, I'm
It's a
just
long
gonna
movie, and
yeah,
look, if
and
you're
it's
tired, don't put it on. As soon as
yeah.
I'm horizontal on the couch, I'm out. It doesn't matter what I'm watching, how compelling it is. I was trying to rewatch. I don't know how it came up. It was something about Mando season one, and I had
Yeah.
that on. And that's like I still think some of the best TV we've gotten from Disney, right? Mando season one is incredible, and I fell asleep like episode one, and I have also seen it a bunch of times. There's no tension at that point, like I know it's going to happen, but I
Yeah.
was out, and then like I woke up and it had already played like 3 episodes. And I was like, "Are you still watching?" I was like, "Sure not." So
So not
do 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 do. Um, what else was going on in the pop culture?
Lori over
Oh,
here trying to get me drunk.
that's the second mention of whiskey today, which is great.
Hot
Um,
toddies in the
yeah,
hizzy.
I still can't believe we're in the weather that a hot toddy would even be on the menu. Like, I'm so ready for summer.
It's 50
Um,
degrees out
it
here. I don't know
it
what it
w-
is in New York, but it's
it
like
was yesterday, but it's cold again today. It was 60 yesterday, and then
but
the
it's
weather keeps.
raining and it's just and this
Yeah,
is why everybody's sick because we can't find like
yeah. It's,
equal
it's a hot mess
footing.
express out here. Uh,
Ugh.
I'm trying to think of what else was really like the
Oh,
big pop culture news.
well,
Um,
there's big pop culture news today, and I messaged you about it earlier.
oh, that's right.
Yes.
T
So
Swift. Yeah.
T Swizzle, Taylor Swift is bumping her Eras tour, Taylor's version concert film on Disney Plus 1 day sooner. So instead of March 15th, it'll be on March 14th, and you get to watch what you wouldn't have paid $3,000 a ticket for. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about that and not having to squint from a seat or listen outside. You get to hear what's going on.
We bought the I want to say it was the 4K, but it wasn't. It was like a DVD, whatever it was. Or we streamed it. I not streamed it. Bought it digitally. Did we buy it digitally? I watched this concert. I know I did because
Yeah.
it was 3 hours long, and I was amazed that this woman was still singing. I was like, "How's this happening?" But Bruce does that too. Like Bruce used to come out and do 3 hours, and
Nice.
then
The
I
Foos
mean
do.
he didn't have the production value that Taylor Swift does. But yeah, the Foo Fighters, they and they rock out, right? Like they're giving it
Mhm.
them all. They're all. Taylor's also giving it her all,
Totally.
with a lot of backup dancers and projections and storytelling and sets, and sort of almost fall off the house that one time. I mean, there's a lot of things happening
Uh,
in this show. She dives into the what looks like the stage or looks like water. I mean, it's crazy. The show is bonkers, and it's
yeah.
so early in her career to be doing what feels like a career spanning greatest hits tour. Like, but it's covering all her eras, because she hasn't been able to tour for the past 4 albums. That's how much music this lady has released in the past couple of years
Yeah.
because of the pandemic. It's unreal. Like it's actually like kind of unprecedented, like the success that she's had. Yeah,
And
it's
most
been
of the time,
wild.
people who start pumping out albums that fast, it means that they're not really getting buzz. But she's getting the buzz, and she's just pouring out the music, so it's great.
Hmm.
Sherry
Yeah,
says that she read that she prepped for it by singing the whole show while on a treadmill.
I saw that.
Girl.
I've I've read similar things that like professional singers, especially ones who I would say have a mid-tier vocal range, so they dance. So think Beyonce, Madonna, like the singer dancer combos, not your Mariah's, Whitney's, Celine's, Adele's of the world, like not the dance girls. Those are the ones with the big voices, but like the mid-tier vocal range girls, like including Taylor. Um, would dance in a dance studio and like they would do their choreography and sing into like not even a microphone. They would just hold something and sing and dance. So she's doing basically cardio while singing.
Mhm.
And apparently like some runners, like real runners, like marathon runners tried to do it and said they nearly died. Like it's just like that intense. It's 3 hours. I can't imagine. I can't do karaoke for 20 minutes without losing my voice. I sometimes I come off of this show,
Yeah, that's
which
a
is an hour,
literal
and I'm all
marathon.
scratchy.
That's like
Yeah.
top. You can finish the Boston Marathon if you are like a world class runner in 3 hours.
Yeah.
So
And most
yeah,
believe me, most of us are not.
we're
Um,
definitely not.
Spencer brings up
um,
a good point about
yeah,
another big pop culture news. Probably the biggest news in Star Wars right now. The Mando
yeah.
movie is going to be filming in California, which is very exciting, and that means it's going to be happening this summer, and it will overlap with the family vacation. And of course, as
Hmm.
all of you guys know, we have two big events happening during the family vacation with autograph signers happening at the Boon to Eve and the Scum and Villainy on that Monday and Tuesday, and the timing is really, really great. You never know. It seems like all those people are going to be in California, so you never know who might just pop up over there. Which,
Just
yeah,
saying.
that could be awesome.
And
Um,
also Bad Batch.
mhm.
We can discuss that real quick.
Yes. Yes, I'm glad Lori brought it up. Look, we have Bad Batch coverage for days on the network. I can't tell you there is no shortage of Bad Batch coverage. We had a wonderful discussion on Rebels Revisited, just going through the first 3 episodes,
Yeah, that was
and
so good. It's fun to get
everyone was
involved.
super into it, and I gotta say they're off to a killer start. The first 4 episodes has been tremendous, and we have it covered on the Thursday night watch-alongs now. They did episodes 1 through 3 last week. Jeff was at the helm with Skip and Mike. We had a slightly different trio than usual
Yeah,
on Thursday. It was a great episode, and then the Jedi Archives boys. So it's Mike and Bryce and John
John.
are all doing the after show on Fridays. So we've got you covered. But yeah, definitely tune in on Fridays if you want to talk more Bad Batch. I gotta say, I think they're off to a great start to the season.
Yeah, ugh, it's really it's bittersweet because I'm just like, please, please don't go die. Nobody die, please. I've had enough of death
I know
already. Just don't.
everyone's gonna die. It's terrible.
So
Um,
as I've gone
Other than
over
Omega.
this, yeah, other than Omega, Keisha Castle Hughes, who won an Oscar or was either won or was nominated for her role in I think it's The Squid and the Whale. It was that New Zealand movie.
Hmm.
She plays the scientist Omega's older sister. Um, I forgot her name. It starts with an E. I'm
Hmm.
blanking. I'm sorry. It takes me a while to get like mentally keep all these characters, especially because I've been like half out knocked out on cold meds. But yeah, but having her on here is like another, fantastic New Zealand actress, and she was on Game of Thrones as well as one of the Sand Snakes. Emery, that's it.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, it
So,
was the Whale Rider that she got
oh,
her.
the Whale Rider. Why did I think it
Yeah.
was Squid in the Row? But yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
she's nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actress, and she's Queen Apolana in Revenge of the Sith. So that's really the big Star Wars connection there. So it's nice to see
Yeah.
her back in the fold.
Yep. Yep.
I like when they bring people back. And like, look, we're celebrating all things prequel, right? The
Yep.
25th anniversary of Phantom Menace is this year. It's coming back to theaters in May. StarWars.com has already talked. I mean, you saw the covers of the Empire magazine that's coming, and um,
Yeah.
we're celebrating all things prequel. So it's not. It wouldn't surprise me if more like Daniel Logan showed up in the most recent episode. It wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me if
Oh,
like more people from the prequels are going to find their way into new streams of content or have specials about them or be making the rounds on the con circuit. If I were even a background extra in Star Wars Episode 1, I would be out this year on the circuit. Whoever would take me. Like
yeah.
this is the year. So,
But yeah, it was such a crazy bunch of episodes to watch, and
mhm,
Omega and Crosshair teaming up. She
I
got
loved
him
it.
out.
Yeah. She won with empathy and love, my two
Yeah.
weakest strengths. So, um, and it worked. It's the kind of thing where she didn't give up on Crosshair,
Nope.
and he begrudgingly went along with all of it. And they've got a dog now too. Things are going great. So,
Yeah.
um,
Hal Hickle, episode 1 with the Droideka and Boss Nass. Whoa.
oh, there's another thing happening this weekend. Awesome Con is coming up, and so we have a meetup happening. So we'll talk
Washington,
a little more about that
D.C.
later. But yeah, I love Awesome Con. I'm not going this year, but I've been a few times in the past, and Awesome Con is a terrific show.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
um, that'll be good for anyone in the DC area to go check it out. Yeah, and then I think we can get into our core topic for tonight with Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Bum bum
There was actually like a
thrum.
lot to cover, and
Yeah.
it took a little bit to figure out like what we thought were like his best moments. But before we get into that, wanted to point out like just how prominent Thrawn is in Rebels starting in season 3 because he appears in the season 3 premiere Steps in the Shadow, which is a two-parter, and he's there all the way until the end with family reunion and farewell. So he is there in the season 3 premiere as well as the season 4 season finale, which is also the series finale for the show. Um, he appears in Hera's Heroes, Iron Squadron, and Inside Man, Warhead, Through Imperial Eyes, Secret Cargo, Zero Hour, which I would argue is his best like appearance in Rebels. I think Zero Hour is where it's at. Parts 1 and 2, which we just rewatched on the network pretty recently.
Yep.
Um, Heroes of Mandalore, which is the season 4 premiere. Flight of the Defender, Kindred, Rebel Assault, Jedi Knight, Doom, Wolves and Adore, and then Family Reunion and Farewell. Now, in some of these, because you still have to use him sparingly, he just pops up in a little hologram. But there's definitely a decent amount of Grand Admiral Thrawn content to be had across the 2 seasons because Rebels went on and on. We had like almost 80 episodes, which was
Yeah.
terrific. And he's in like a good chunk of them.
Yeah, they make the most out of him for not showing up right from the get-go. He
Yeah.
definitely gets his money's worth in this season.
When you look at the voice cast, like he's actually near the top in terms of quantity of episodes, like right after the core Ghost crew, because the villains really do swap in and out each season. Like Fifth Brother and Seventh Sister are only in like 5 or 6 episodes. The Grand Inquisitor is only in like 10 episodes. Like Jason Isaacs is less in this show than you realize.
Yeah.
Like because they use him pretty sparingly as well. The Emperor makes it into like 2 episodes, it's really not a lot. Vader's barely in the show. Thrawn is actually the villain who, along with Price, like hangs in for quite a while. Like Price appears with him in Steps in the Shadow and is also there at the very end. And they sort of have, and in some ways, I almost wonder there are half these moments where it's like, well, who do we want in the scene? Is it either Price or Thrawn or both of them? They kind of come as a package deal sometimes.
Yeah, I think so too. And they're both so like incredibly no holds barred um evil. Like
Yeah,
yeah, just like and Thrawn he's a little
super
more like
ambitious.
yeah, he's a little more ambitious, a little more like calculating. So he'll compliment you while he just robbed you of everything you have.
Yeah.
But like he does with Hera and yeah, Hera's Heroes. But we'll get back to that later. But to have the difference between him and Price is like Price is just like she's got so much ambition that she often doesn't think of how her vengeance can take out can destroy things in the long run, like
Mhm.
Jedi Knight when she blows up the fuel tanks. So and hinders the tie Inquisitor plan. So
Yeah, he's thinking 2 steps ahead, and she's a little more, like, rash, I would say. He's
revengey.
very patient, which is, like, a really scary trait in an enemy, right?
Yeah.
It actually reminds me a little bit about in episode 1, the way Darth Maul sort of stalks Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and eventually gets the best of Qui-Gon, right? Like Qui-Gon's killed at the hands of Darth Maul, and I think sometimes people forget, like that's what a huge accomplishment that was, and it's because he like stuck to the plan. He like sort of trusted the process. I think Thrawn is very much like that as well. Yeah. Oh, I
Ooh,
like that, Sarah.
good
Price is a
point.
thermal detonator and Thrawn is a laser scalpel. Yeah, look, there's a tool for every job. I was actually saying at work today pretty recently that like someone was a sledgehammer when I needed them to be a scalpel. And I was like, they're very different executions. And
Yeah.
and you see it with Thrawn. They do a very good job in Rebels of like giving him mysteries to solve and still making it accessible for kids. Like in season 3, the Ghost crew is all held up on what they were calling Chopper Base. So the planet of Adelon that had like the big spiders, right? And that's where the Bendu lived and everything. And they were hiding there. This obviously isn't Yavin. It isn't any of the other bases that we've heard from the original trilogy. So this was a new location for us, and we knew at some point then that the Empire was going to find it. But throughout season 3, the big question is where are the rebels hiding, and why hasn't Thrawn found them? So he used a few different tactics, including sending out that droid. And so you get that whole thing with like Warhead, where the droid goes down to the planet and is searching for rebel activity, and he devises a whole plan to like weed them out that way. And even though that particular droid was reprogrammed by the Ghost, and they sort of get around it in that one episode, it goes from him being able to search this many planets to like narrow it down pretty significantly. Okay, it's one of these 50 or whatever it is, and he just continues to chip away at it. He's nothing if not meticulous, you know.
Mhm. And then granted, he's still gonna go through 93 planets to find them, but it's better than,
Yeah.
like, a billion
Yeah,
planets.
it was thousands to a much more manageable number. And it's like, all right, well, send another probe. I feel like that's the right answer to that question.
Yeah.
And then eventually they do. I mean, I think his crowning achievement, like the big win for Thrawn, is really the season 3 finale, 0 Hour.
Mhm. Yeah.
They get the rebels. They identify where the rebels are, which is on Adelon, um, and they invade. They defeat the rebels. They're like pushed out of the base, and they actually blockade the planet, so the rebels can't jump to hyperspace and escape. Um, Commander Sato has to sacrifice himself, largely because Cassius Constantine messes up. Right, he tries to go after Sato, and that's how a
Mhm.
small. I guess it was Ezra who escaped, right? And the
Yeah.
Ghost. I'm trying to remember now.
Yep.
So a small group was able to escape and then come back and get aid for everyone else. But Thrawn really won the day, and in that episode, I got to tell you, him in the helmet, the Veers helmet, is possibly my favorite look for
Yeah.
Thrawn when he's actually in the field. Like, 'cause it's so rare you see him do anything physical, but, like, him in the
Oh,
helmet sent
yeah.
me. That's my
L
favorite.
like, that's like having, like, a guy wearing, like, a jungle hat, like, an explorer hat.
Yeah.
That's
It's full on Indiana Jones. I loved it. Thrawn in
so great.
the Veers helmet, is just tremendous, and he does get on the ground. That's what's so
Yeah.
crazy. Like, he's a Grand Admiral. He could easily have stayed on the ship, well out of harm's way, but he really wanted to
He
confront
confronted the
Hera.
Bendu.
Yeah, yeah, which
Like,
I
and
sure wouldn't. Mm-mm.
and I don't wanna
No,
say
mama.
destroyed him, but I think, like, ultimately, it's a no-no in the Force, and that's gonna bite you in the keister later on.
Yeah, I think so. We all know that Grand Admiral Thrawn's big blind spot is anything Force related, and if
Mhm.
it weren't for the Bendu, he would have had like a decisive victory against the rebels, and probably would have captured all of them. Because he's captured a few of them individually here and there. Like he got Hera during Hera's Heroes, you know, when she's like posing as that refugee with the Kalikori and that whole thing, and he knew it was her. Like, and he captured Ezra in that moment as well. It was Callus who saved the day there secretly as Fulcrum, and then Thrawn captures Callus. Look, he captures a lot of people. It's not his fault that like the idiot stormtroopers who are guarding Callus like don't realize that he could take them. Um, so
Facts.
Thrawn usually gets his man. It's just everyone else fumbles the ball, right? Like that's part of the problem. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, in 0 hour, he's down on the ground and he's down there with with his silly helmet on, which is awesome. And he confronts the Bendu. He doesn't understand what the Bendu is. Uh, Shoots at it, and the Bendu disappears. We know he's not dead, but he's like, I'm out of here. I'm not gonna hang around for
He's
this
like
this mess.
Mufasaing up in the sky, like,
Yeah,
"Oh, Thrawn, you screwed up."
in his crazy Tom Baker voice.
Yes.
But yeah, when he tells Thrawn, what is it? I see your defeat like cold hands surrounding you, or whatever it is.
Yes.
Clearly setting up the finale. Um, so I love that though. That whole episode, because people were concerned that the Thrawn from the Timothy Zahn original books, like Heir to the Empire, who's very calculating, very strategic, incredibly intelligent, um, would be too smart to be uh, you know, taken down by the crew of the Ghost, like the
Right.
Island of Misfit Toys, as we refer to them. Like a
Yep.
Jedi Padawan who's like not that great still training, right? A Jedi not even master. I mean, I know technically they made Kanan a master, but who we kidding?
He's a knight.
He barely got his GED at the Jedi school. You know what I mean? Like he's not the most trained. He's no Ahsoka. He's no Anakin. So we've got like a third-rate Jedi and his Padawan,
Yep.
some rando pilot, a Lasat, and a Mandalorian graffiti artist are going to take down Grand Admiral Thrawn. So they did have to write around
And an
all of
angry
that to make
astromech.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and an angry R2D2 like coming at you. But like they did a good job, I think, preserving the
Yeah.
quality of his character and not making him look a fool, right?
Yeah.
Because it would
They
have been
definitely
really
did.
really easy to like, you get this really powerful, scary villain, and then all of a sudden in the kids show, it's like, oh, foiled again. Um, I thought he was pretty successful, especially when you look at 0 hour.
Yeah, no Dr. Doofenshmirtz there. Like,
Yeah.
curse you, Perry the platypus. Yeah,
Dude,
none of that happening here.
yeah.
No, as John said earlier, he's cold and calculating. It's all about precision. And it's absolutely true. He
Mhm.
is probably one of the biggest threats to the Ghost crew the entire series.
Yeah. Well, it's because he cares to learn about them too. Like he
Hmm.
uncovers Hera when Constantine didn't, because he's like, "Oh, I actually bothered to do the homework. Like I studied who they are." He talks extensively about understanding your enemies, like art and
Yes.
culture and their motivations. And so he was looking at the helmet from Ezra that had the Lothcat drawing on it, and was like, "Oh, I can tell based on this creature that it's a Lothcat, and the design, and this, it's obviously done by the Mandalorian Sabine Wren. It was probably worn by Ezra Bridger." And so that gave away the clue
Yeah.
that Ezra was the one in the suit, meaning he's the one who freed Hera, and it's all part of the Ghost crew. And if Callus would have known that, he should have told us that. But since he didn't, Callus is obviously the traitor. Like
Yeah.
it was, I
11
think,
P steps ahead, like
yeah.
always on top of it.
Yeah, and they do a good job. Like they actually use him quite sparingly in season 3. As I'm looking at the episode list again, because there's 22 episodes, and he's in like every third. He's in one, two, three, four, five, six. Yeah, he's in like 8 episodes of the or 9 episodes of the 20. So he's still sprinkled in, and because otherwise the rebels always have to get away. They have to live. They have to win usually, or at least survive. And so you can't have him constantly not succeeding, which is why I think it was so critical that like 0 hour ends very Empire Strikes Back style, where they're fleeing Hoth and things are not going great.
Nope. It's very dark time. And it's Thrawn at the height of his power.
Yeah. And then, I mean, we checked back in with Ron post Rebels, obviously in the Ahsoka show. Was he everything you dreamed of and more in Ahsoka? Like, did you when you saw Lars come back on our screens, we found out it was Lars. It to me, it seemed like a natural extension of the character.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think, as we've seen and as we know, Thrawn always plays the long game. And I feel like we don't have all of his plans yet.
Hmm.
It's that's why I kind of wish the show wasn't called Ahsoka. Like I know she's like the main character, supposed to be the main character, but there's so many characters in the show that
Yeah.
have stood out completely, like under
Oh
the
no, you could
Star
have
Wars
just said
Rebels
there's so
channel.
many characters in the show.
Yeah,
Like I've never
yeah,
seen such an overstuffed show in my life.
right. So,
Yeah.
but it like just continuing with calling it Rebels just in live action, like I would have totally taken that. But anyway, uh, I believe that that we don't have quite everything is known about his plans
Hmm.
and what he's going to do and who all these soldiers are and how he
Yep.
managed to survive all this time, 10 years in the ether. Um, we don't know all that, and I feel like we're gonna get that in season 2 of Ahsoka in some way. I think it'll all tie together. But yeah, I want to know his plan. I want to know what he's doing. I want to
Hmm.
know, how he managed to swindle the magical and devious Night Sisters to help him.
Yeah.
So it's a
I
big deal.
I have some thoughts there, and I know look, we talked about Ahsoka at length on this network. We
Yes.
did 2 watch-alongs for you guys, so go
Yeah.
back and check out the Thursdays, because we did the first round and then we did the second round. And I will say, I think the last episode we did, Ahsoka episode 8 with
Mhm.
JJ and Natalie Padilla, that
Hi,
was an
Lila.
amazing episode. Not just because I was on it, I thought it was great.
It was
They
fantastic.
gave us great stories. Let's talk about Ahsoka for a minute because the comments have a couple of interesting things happening here. It was about more than just Ahsoka, the same way you said it and Sherry said it. Um, there are a lot of characters in the
Yeah.
Ahsoka show. We had Sabine, who was basically the second lead. We had Hu Yang, who came back from the Clone Wars and I think like kind of stole the show. We had to go rescue Ezra, so we brought Ezra back. Not only did we get Thrawn, but who the hell saw Night Sisters coming? And there were 3 of them. And so we've got all
Yeah.
these Night Sisters and potentially 100 corpses of Night Sisters coming from the planet that's going to be transported back to Dathomir. Girl, who decided we were going back to Dathomir? So I haven't heard that name since Solo: A Star Wars Story at this point. Like,
Yeah.
so we're going back to Dathomir with a bunch of Night Sister corpses, 3 active Night Sister witches in the red cloaks. I call them the Shadow Weaver look, right? Like that's
Yeah.
from She-Ra. Like not Elsbeth Night Sister, who's like a descendant of, right? Like she's like a watered down version. Who by the way was awesome, but like
Yay.
that's not even all the characters. We still have Ray, who played Balin and Shin.
Jen,
Um,
Shin. Yep.
yeah, like it's
Hera,
crazy. Yeah, Hera and
Jason,
Jason, the senator we all hate,
Carson
who by the way we love in
Tiva,
real life. Yeah,
Chopper's next victim.
yeah. This is the
Sorry,
thing.
Nelson Lee.
Who the hell wasn't in this show? And with
Yeah.
that, like it sets up so many streams. And here's the thing: is
Ooh, that's a
Thrawn
good
connecting
point.
all of it? I what the fates? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
pretty cool.
John, it is very. I mean, you're right on the right track there. The 3 fates became a little bit of an archetype with witches.
The
There's always
Hecate.
seems to be like
Yep.
a 3 witch combo. I mean, even in Hocus Pocus, it's a 3 witch combo, right? Like it's very much a trope, which I love. I'm all into that. Yeah, Brendan as an X-wing pilot. Yeah, we had some great people
So many. Carson
popping in,
Tiva. Yes.
and and is Thrawn the nexus point of all of that? Because he carries over from animated Rebels. We know he's got all those books and all those other stories, and he could be a through point. They mention Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Mandalorian TV show. Like he seems to be the glue that's holding it together, along with Ahsoka. I think like I really do think Heir to the Empire will be the movie that like everyone loses their mind over, right? And that's where he'll have to really show himself
But
as the big
again,
bad.
how are we gonna fit all these characters into that movie? It's
Mm,
insane.
yeah, I don't know because I even now just saying it out loud, I'm like dizzy from the amount of stuff that happened. But I think we're gonna have to. There's no way that like the Night Sisters and the Chiss are teaming up to fight the Empire. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-mm.
because the like that feels like a TV show a little bit,
Right.
but like for a movie, it actually sounds like quite preposterous. But who knows? This Mando Grogu movie, maybe they're gonna go be like, oh hey, Grand Admiral Thrawn brought a bunch of like witch uh, corpses to Dathomir. Let's go check that out. Could that all of a sudden be the movie? I don't know. They have a bunch of things they need to do. They need to, they need, well, now they need to resolve the Carl Weathers situation,
Yeah.
sadly, right? Could it be that his character has died, and so is that a triggering incident for the start of the movie? That now we need a new mayor and now or governor or whatever, and who's in charge now? And it could be a whole thing. I mean, think about this: in universe, Gina Carano's character is also dead, so that's the kind of thing where a lot of Mando's prior people are not doing great. Does he need to go on some type of mission and find some new allies? You know, everyone's got their own stuff. Bo Katan is ruling
Yeah.
Mandalore. She can't be like she ain't gonna go be like a mayor somewhere. She's got to go rule a system. So
A whole
yeah,
Mandalore. Yeah,
exactly.
she's just chilling in her throne, eating some popcorn, watching TV. Nah.
So yeah,
Um,
but I wonder what Thrawn's going to do because all right, so let's come back to Rebels real quick. So
mhm.
obviously season 3, I think 0 Hour being his high point, I would say what should have been the high point and then became the low point in universe is Family Reunion Farewell, where he ultimately loses at the hands of Ezra Bridger. This was his triumphant moment. He was on the cusp of destroying the Ghost finally, right? We're
Yeah.
at the big end game at the
He
end,
had them on the
you know.
ropes. It was so bad. This was
Yeah.
it, if it wasn't, and this is why everyone should be so thankful that Thrawn does not understand the Force,
Yep.
because that was how Ezra saved everybody and and took Thrawn with him.
Yeah, Ezra being able to summon the space whales,
Yeah.
the Purgle, and completely unexpected, and then grabbing Thrawn and jumping into hyperspace just to get him out of there, and then to end up
We're girls.
in a
Yeah.
whole other galaxy, it seems,
Yeah.
is kind of crazy. And at that point, Price was dead. Rook was dead. You know, they had really overthrown the Empire fully on Lothal, and then the Eye of Mordor kind of shifted away from Lothal after that because, like, minutes later, it seems Luke and Leia are out there blowing up Death Stars. So the counterattack didn't come because all of a sudden other things became like Rogue One happens and then A New Hope happens and then there's no time to go figure out Lothal because guess what? Like the Empire's donezo. Like it all happens in like a 5-year span. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. And
Mhm.
as you said, as soon as like the TIE Defender program starts going south, like
Yeah.
the Empire is just like, well, this failed. This is, and Thrawn's gone. This was his vanity project. Whatever. Let's focus on the Death Star. It would actually do something.
Yep.
And
I
they
actually
just
wrote in here
completely,
in the Google Doc the TIE Defender program because if that had taken off instead of the Death Star, and again we're speculating in universe, you know, after the fact. Does the TIE Defender program win the war for the Empire instead of a Death Star, right? I think so. If you have TIE fighters that have shields and they're able to take down every X Wing, I don't think the Rebel fleet stands a chance.
nope, nope. He would have taken them all down.
Yeah,
And it was
his
hard
program was
enough.
way better. Yeah.
It was hard enough to like fight the one. Like they knew and they needed to stop him. And that's why
Mhm.
this was so important to get this factory shut down. Um,
And then don't you think it's one of Grand Moff Tarkin's like big mistakes? So I love Tarkin as a character. He's one of my all-time favorites. I
yeah.
think, you know, he's obviously the lead villain of A New Hope, and the mastermind. And again, we're doing a little retconning after the fact because then they explain where he lives in the military lineup, and we meet him in the Clone Wars, and we get all this backstory, and we have to continually elevate Vader. Even though in the first movie, Vader just seems like some kind of strong arm for the Emperor that's not on
Yeah.
screen, and Tarkin's really in charge. And then Tarkin's dead, right? But like they do give us a lot of Tarkin background. And by the way, Steven Stanton, love him, who brings him to
Mhm.
life in Rebels, is just incredible. The character, though, in universe makes a terrible decision when when the TIE Defender program like blows up, largely because of Price's actions, which kills Kanan when they don't immediately rush to get that reinstated. Like it's mind blowing to me because I think I, there's plenty of money. Like if the empire has anything, it's money and resources and slaves and everything they need to do whatever they need to do. Like I've never once heard like, oh, we're gonna tighten the budget. Why? To give people raises? I'm sure they're not treating their own people well anyway. Like what's going
Mm-mm.
on?
No, it's under penalty of death.
Yeah,
Um, but
yeah,
also, like, think of how much of the Lethal's resources they've used to get this program off the ground.
Yeah.
Like, it was an absolute wasteland when they returned to Lethal after the blockade.
Hmm.
And, it's because of Thrawn that happened. So, if anything, I feel like that probably fueled Ezra's connection with the Force, and he realized that I'm going to do everything I can, including like buckling down on my Force lessons, to stop this guy. And,
Hmm. It
it,
took a
it just,
force user to take him
it did.
down.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think that's one of the reasons in the Ahsoka show he gets away is that he doesn't have a direct confrontation with anyone using the Force. Even Ahsoka. He and Ahsoka don't share a scene together. The only thing that happens is at the end of the episode, the final episode, when he's on the comms talking to her
Yeah.
and has the nerve to bring up Anakin and be like, "I knew your master, and let's see how similar you are, and if you'll face a similar fate." I was like, "Oh man, he read her for filth." It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Mhm.
He's that man, right? Like he really just like belittled her in the
Yeah.
worst way and won the day and escaped. And I was like, "Oh my god, is this man my hero, or is he the worst person that ever lived?" It was incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought he really delivered in that moment. And it was actually like a mirror image of what happened with Ezra, right? Where he now had the upper hand and escaped and got everything he needed just on a 10-year delay, right?
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
I'm excited for when he gets back though to get it for him to get a new uniform that isn't so tethered. Because I'm sure it's killing him that there's
Oh
even
my
like a
god.
thread out of place.
Seriously, and there's so much weathering on that uniform, and yet for the majority of it, it's still kind of like, it looks pretty pristine. Like, if you
Mhm.
didn't look close enough, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, like, okay, growing up, I didn't read any of the Thrawn novels. I know, I'm sorry, I'm
I only
terrible.
read the first one, and
Yeah,
I thought it was fine. Can I just say that? It's fine.
it's
I was
fine.
not, like, super I knew a lot of people who were like, "This is the greatest thing ever," and then I didn't continue. I was also it hit when I was in high school into college, and
Yeah,
you have so much required reading. Like, I had to read A Tale of Two Cities, and let me tell you,
and the Canterbury
it made me
Tales.
hate
It's
reading.
exhausting.
Like, it's
It's
the kinda
exhausting.
thing where it's like, I was assigned this book, and now I'll never read again unless I'm like, someone's holding a gun to my head. Like, that's what happens when you have bad curriculum.
Go figure. Yeah, so I didn't this was my first exposure to Thrawn,
Mhm.
and
Was Rebels.
was Rebels,
Yeah.
yes. And him coming across Hera and realizing that he uses their their art, their culture, their families, their ways of life to destroy people.
Mhm.
And I'd never seen anything like that before, and I was like, "Oh, this dude is next level," and this is kinda scary because Sabine uses art as a weapon, and so does Thrawn. And they're both in two entirely different ways, and it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating when these two go head to head, and he recognizes her art, and not only that, tells the emperor and the emperor's people, as you see in Wolves in a Door, about Sabine and her creativity and how much she loves art, and has her help him decipher this mural. So that was pretty astounding to me, and I was just like, "Oh, this is a good villain. I'm excited." So,
Yeah, he really differentiated himself
I
from everyone else. And I'm trying to find that quote. Um, yes, to defeat an enemy, you must know them, not simply their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art, right? He's going above and beyond like the
Mhm.
standard military training. Like he understands um, who he's dealing with better than anyone else. And I think that's how he became a Grand Admiral so quickly.
Mhm.
And he's just like super, super effective. He also talks about how he's going to tear them apart. Like I'm trying to find the thing of like um, their own. They'll be their own undoing. Um,
And I think that's what also was the saddest part for me is the fact that he knew that was Hera Syndulla,
hmm.
based on the fact that she looked like her painting. And obviously, she's back in the house trying to get an item that means the world to her, and it's a family heirloom. Like, no stranger would come into that house and just try to take a family heirloom, especially if they're
Yeah.
Twi'lek and they know the history of the Calicori.
Yeah, he said it was worthless to anyone except if you're them, and then it's priceless. Which in
Yeah.
some ways was like really rude, but at the same time, he understood that it was like priceless to them, but he thinks it's
Mhm.
stupid. I like the like little jabs he takes in there. He says it more smartly than I did. Um,
Yeah.
Here's the quote that like I think sums it up. He's like, "We're going to pull the rebels apart piece by piece. They will be the architects of their own destruction." So he's very much a puppet master, which is such a like Palpatine kind of thing. Like when we think about the Clone Wars, you can ask the question like, who won the Clone Wars, who lost the Clone Wars, all that. Everyone lost the Clone Wars except for Palpatine.
Yeah.
Like the separatists didn't win and the Republic didn't win. The Republic ceased to exist, right? The Republic became the Empire and the separatists sure didn't win. Everyone lost, including all the people killed and all the clones killed and all the
Yeah.
droids destroyed, the money spent and people's lives uprooted and planets sent into slavery and destroyed and this and that and everything else. But Palpatine uh,
Alderaan.
got got to become. He went from being a senator to the emperor. Like he moved up 3 rungs in the political steps, and there you go. All that, like billions of lives.
And not
So
only that, like fooled everybody. How do you not know?
yeah, I blame Yoda. You know me. I don't. I think the Jedi Order, like that's how that. I mean, the reason they've now relabeled that whole time period as like Fall of the Jedi is that it's like even less about the fall of the Republic, and it's more about like the fall. Like it's the Jedi's fault. Like this is
Absolutely.
what happened. Like the Jedi have been around for 1,000 years or thousands of years and fully lost their way. So it's over. Like the old ways were over. They became um
Also, they
too much of
became
an
more
organization.
yeah, they were more involved in military practices
Mhm.
than
Yeah,
their own,
military and
ways.
politics and everything else. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, I appreciate that Thrawn is super into art, architecture, culture, all those things because it's very easy to see Vader as like the scariest villain, but the smartest villain is probably Thrawn. I'd be more concerned with Thrawn in terms of like being able to get away with something or escape. And I think I said something a few weeks ago where I was like, I don't think like I'd rather go up against Thrawn than Vader, and that's still true. I
yeah.
think if you're dealing hand-to-hand combat or whatever else, like, why is he so on the top of everyone's list when you could just go get like any random Sith,
Yeah.
but he's smarter than all of them and he has like a plan for unraveling things which Vader and everyone might not necessarily have. Yeah.
Yeah. And if anything, again, Vader has the Force, the
Hmm.
dark side of the Force, and him choking you out is a lot more scary than Thrawn throwing you in prison and figuring out how to destroy your entire, you know,
Hmm.
race of people.
um
Uh,
like this note here from John: the Jedi became victims of their own success and that it made them complacent. Yeah, I mean the Jedi they became the thing they swore they weren't gonna. They were like self-aware and filled with hubris, and they were sending like Padawans who were still children into the war. They were building child soldiers. They went from
yeah.
like training in the Force to like training in hand-to-hand combat. Which I do want to mention before I forget. The Thrawn episode where he's actually doing his hand-to-hand combat with his droids is awesome. Like,
So
because you don't
crazy.
think that he's physically capable of doing anything because he's like, oh, and he's very heady, right? The whole time we see him, he's on the bridge and he's very slow talking and very cool and calm and collected. Lars really like crushes it in the delivery, but you don't think for a second the man is like physically capable of hurting anyone or anything. Even when he like hisses at a couple people, he like really
Yeah.
makes like an alien kind of kind of
But
thing.
also you hear
You
him
know?
yelling and
Yeah.
actually being like
Yeah.
insanely violent, and it's like that side of Thrawn. This is the
And
first
that's
time we
just in
see it.
training. It's just
Yeah.
training with these things that he's like, "Oh, trash these droids." Um, but like that's a great moment with him. And it shows that he's also then ready when we go into 0 hour that like, oh, it wasn't completely unrealistic that this man could be in the field. Like you could see
Yeah.
him doing his training on his starship, so he wasn't just sitting at his desk collecting art, which people like sort of mocked him. The one guy was like, "Why do you want that stupid thing?" Talking about the Kalikori, and he's like, "Well, I actually have use for it because I understand art." And he was like, basically like, "You peasant," which I love everything about it. He's like constantly looking down on everyone, which is what makes him such a compelling villain, right?
Yeah,
Like he's got
absolutely.
that like sort of delusion that he's better than everyone else, including Hera. But he also felt like a real he gave her like a lot of respect at the same time. It's very backhanded. He like completely understood how she was so successful in this role and was forged in like the Clone Wars and became a great pilot and war made her who she is. He had like real insight into her. And then and also like beat her down. Like it was the kind of thing where I was like, "Oh, this is terrible. Like this is so well done." Like the
Yeah.
writers like I think really nailed his personality right there.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Timothy Zahn, aside from the novels and or anything, contributed much to Star Wars Rebels and bringing
Mm-mm.
Thrawn in. It was all just
No. He
what.
he didn't have anything to do with it, and I think
Okay.
actually there was some backlash to that, and so, that's why when Ahsoka rolled around, they pulled him in. I don't know how much he was involved in the actual development in Ahsoka, but you saw he got, like, a consulting credit, and look, he's the creator of Thrawn. I think he does have that, like, creator title,
Yeah.
for having created the character, and I know they made some new books as well. I haven't read any of the new ones, the new Thrawn, um, uh, trilogy. It is a trilogy, but I know they introduce how Thrawn basically figured out that Anakin is Vader, which is the kind of thing that that's something he would unravel. He's
Oh
met
yeah.
Anakin, he's met Vader, he figured out they're the same person. How many other people can say that? Like there are plenty of people who have met both Anakin and Vader, and no one else has figured it out,
No.
Tarkin included. And Tarkin has spent considerable time with both of them. Like that blows my mind. Like how did Tarkin not know? He's like right under the Emperor.
Nope.
So for me, it's like okay, Thrawn figured this out, which no one really should. But like, I think it's suspicious that like this crazy
Sus.
powerful force user disappears and then another one reappears and they're the same height and a lot of the same stories. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's a little Prince Adam He-Man for me, but
Yeah.
you know,
That's a twice you've made a
yeah,
He-Man universe reference tonight. That's great.
it's still my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
Meanwhile,
plus.
I can't believe it's 10 o'clock already. I do want
Wow.
to just hit a couple quick listicle style things. One, I think if you're looking for like the best of Thrawn, we've already mentioned all the episodes that he's in. Zero Hour is absolutely like the spot to see his best moments. And I do think like obviously you should watch all of Rebels before you would watch the series finale, but his final moments with Ezra are among some of the best in the whole series. And that whole episode is just very tension filled. Even though we kind of all believe in our heart of hearts that the good guys are going to win, it's not the happiest of endings.
Nope.
But Thrawn does go down, and it's one like wonderful payoff, and also gives us an in-universe explanation for where the hell he's been throughout like the classic trilogy time period, right? They actually like solve a little bit of a plot hole for all of this, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
So also check out all the stuff related to the TIE Defender program. Him unraveling Callus as the traitor in their midst, I thought was very well done.
Ooh, yeah.
And just his Hera interaction, which we keep coming back to in Hera's Heroes, is like,
So good.
possibly the best, like, I think out of
Yeah.
all of it. Like, his one-on-one with Hera is probably as good as his one-on-one with Ezra.
Because he's so calm when
Yeah,
he sees her. Like,
scary.
and it's not throw them in the dungeon. He's like he kind of toys with them like a cat toy on a string. Like
Yeah.
he's very cold with it. But so I think that's probably what makes the best is because not only do you realize that he has Hera's number, but he also has Ezra's number, and he
Mhm.
also has Sabine's number. So
Yeah.
it
He's
just
got them all marked.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like wow, you just got this from a picture, literally
Yeah.
just a picture.
Alright, Thrawn versus Chopper, Lori. Girl,
Sign
how
me
did we not
up.
think about this? That would be
Yes.
amazing.
Oh my
Um,
god. If that's not in season 2 of Ahsoka, I'm gonna be pissed.
uh,
Just saying.
I do think at some point live action Hera is gonna have to come face to face with live action Thrawn,
Mm,
because that's some unfinished business, I would
yeah,
say. Um,
absolutely. Oh my
Also, I
god.
do want to put on the screen for everyone John's latest comment about the two Thrawn trilogies. The
Yeah.
second, was the
Of the
Chiss
trilogy.
Alliance and how he left them for the Empire. So I've read like the Wikipedia summaries and I've watched some YouTube videos. All of these novels are apparently very well written and people love Timothy Zahn, of course. I know a little bit. I know enough about the Chiss Alliance, but I know little compared to like some of the other experts on the network, like a Mike Bryce John, like the Jedi Archives boys will have you covered.
And
Send them
Jamie.
your questions, and
And
Jamie, yeah,
yeah.
they got your questions covered. But I've heard great things, and if I were going to give recommendations, mine would have to be within the realm of Rebels that I know the best. But I've also heard that the new books are great. I did really enjoy the first Heir to the Empire, which is now a Legends book, and Jamie is making her way through all the Legends books of that time
Yes.
period and is having the time of her life. So I would say just because they're Legends doesn't mean they don't exist. Like, go pick them
Right.
up and check them out. Like, at some point there might be a Legends banner on something you currently think is canon because that's how things are headed right now. And
Everything
if
gets
it's good content,
changed
enjoy it. Yeah.
all the
Um,
time. But yeah, I definitely want to see Chopper go up against Thrawn in season 2
yeah.
of Ahsoka. If that doesn't happen on
Lori,
my
that
list.
and we'll drink some whiskey while watching that fight. It'll be good. All right, let's talk. We have a couple plugs for the end of the episode. One, first of all, huge congratulations to the Facebook group. We just hit 63,000 members this
We
week,
love
which
you,
is
63,000.
so exciting. The group
Yes.
continues to grow. At the same time, Facebook continues to evaporate. So it's even more impressive when you think that like everyone I know is leaving Facebook, but
Yeah.
people are legitimately keeping their Facebook for this group. And I know that's why I have it. I need it for this and for work. Like I just
Yeah.
can't not have a Facebook. Believe me, if to not have a Facebook, that would be the way. But I like being a part of this group. It's basically the one thing I click into on a daily basis. So congratulations, 63,000 members. Continue to tell your friends. You can actually share the Facebook page out to anyone in your friend group on Facebook and
Yeah.
invite them to join. That'd be a great way to continue to grow this number.
And
And
also,
we
it's
want to
like
do
the
that
number one
between,
place to find information about Celebration Japan coming up. I know
yep,
there's a lot of questions being bandied about that. We are sharing what we know as currently
mhm,
as we know it, but it's a great place to have a sense of community, especially if you're going alone.
yeah. There's
And
been a lot of questions about that travel
yeah,
and,
and flights and everything. So this is the place to
yeah,
be, and we're glad you're here with us. So thank you guys.
yeah. And we're putting all of our programming and events and everything on the page so you can see what's coming. There are events already set up for like the family vacation, which we wanted to mention. There are only 20 tickets left on bus number
Ooh
2, or less than
wee.
20. I think there's like 18 or 19 tickets left, which is very exciting.
And this is
And
it, guys. This is the
yeah, it's
last
so
bit of tickets.
soon. We're now 4 months out, which is kind of crazy. It's actually closer to 5, but like 4 months because it's late July. And we have the racer available.
Look how cool
Obviously,
this bad boy is. Oh, it's
yeah, this is really
beauteous.
nice.
And
Now,
look at Vader in his adorable little vacation hat and his swimsuit.
it
Love
reminds me of
it.
the Lego Star Wars when they're all on the beach. The Emperor
Yeah.
and Vader are like just hanging out for the summer vacation. What was that from 2 years ago? That was
Mhm.
really, really fun. Um,
Hey, glad you're joining
Reynold
us, Reynold.
Reynolds said he got his ticket. And
And
yeah, get that
committed to the
racer too.
racer. That's awesome.
I would like a sleeveless racer,
Yay,
so
Lila.
we need to have that as an option. Um, but yeah, family vacation coming up, and then as we mentioned, more meetups are coming across the board. The next one up is Awesome Con in DC this weekend, and I know there's another con. I don't think we have a graphic for it yet, but I think something's happening in Indianapolis in a couple weeks. Am I remembering that correctly? It's possible.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it's Indiana Comic Con in a couple weeks.
yeah.
Um,
So more to come
big
on that.
Star Wars
Keep an
presence
eye on
on
that
that one.
Facebook page with 63,000 people. We will have a graphic for that for sure. And pay attention to Kathy Chase. She's leading all the event stuff. So the same way you would follow me to get all the programming information. Um, you know, uh,
Oh, GalaxyCon Richmond.
yep,
Yes.
yeah. And anyone who is interested in meeting up, reach out to Kathy. And you can either help lead a meetup or just show up to a meetup, catch up for drinks and stuff. We'll obviously be
Yeah.
doing it again for San Diego Comic Con. Has already been announced, which is the week before family vacation, which is crazy. There's just a lot happening, you know,
Hey, if you need help
for
with the
summer.
Genua Novo booth.
I will keep you posted. I don't.
Okay.
I am not sure what's happening with San Diego, but
Yeah. It's such
it's
a
great.
weird.
It's so soon. Funny enough, my next work trip is actually in May, and I'm going to Vegas for the licensing show.
Oh, that's
And
terrible.
I know that one's gonna be a lot of fun. But it is like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's like always like that. So, but
That's
Monday
a
is like
weird
prep day,
schedule.
so I think I actually need to fly out that Sunday. So I may actually go out that Saturday and try to do like one day and just like on my own and have fun. So.
See a
Um,
show.
so let's see. What else is coming up? Oh, we have a new Daughters of the Galaxy on Wednesday. Do you want to tell everyone what's going on?
Yes, so we're talking about the legendary Iden Versio from Star Wars Battlefront 2, played by and voiced by Janina Gavankar. We're going to talk about Iden and her Inferno Squad, and how she factors into our little galaxy far, far away. And I'm going to share some surprises with you guys. So I can't wait.
Cool. She was excellent at Celebration 2019. I just love Janina,
Oh,
and
I
she
would have
she
loved
was
to
like
meet her.
she was awesome, and she was also like streaming the whole time. And this is in 2019, not in 2024. So some people
Right.
thought it was weird that she was walking around with her phone in front of her, like just doing this for like 3 straight days. And I was like, that's exactly what everyone does now. So it's kind of funny that like she was just ahead of the curve. Because someone
Oh,
was like, she has
yeah.
her phone out a lot. I was like, yeah, that's her whole gig. Like she's a gamer. She's like an online
Twitch
personality. She was saying something
streamer.
about
Yeah.
Twitch. And someone actually said to me, "What's Twitch?" Like that's how long ago 2019 is now. So, and
It was
like I
5 years ago.
right? Yeah. So very
What
different
happened?
environment. Yeah, wild. Well, she was an I don't want to say an early adopter, but earlier than a lot of other people.
Mhm.
So yeah, so Wednesday we'll talk all about Iden
Yeah.
Versio. Then Thursday we've got the Thursday night watch along like we always do. We're doing Bad Batch episodes 4 and 5. So you'll get a double
Starring
episode, and we're accurate now to what's happening with the show because um episode 5 hits this Wednesday. And that should be Jeff and Dave and Spencer on Thursday, maybe Skip. We'll see who pops in. It is a
Uh,
rotating panel.
Spencer's out. Uh, Ashley will be sitting in along with Bryce, and
Yay.
Dave will be taking the helm, and I will be out hanging out with Leilani at a post or pre-Oscar party thing that's going on.
Ooh, that
Bro,
sounds
you get the
fun.
best gigs, let me tell you.
Seriously, you guys are gonna have a
Yeah,
blast.
yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
amazing. Wait, so what's this panel? Dave, Ashley, and
Mhm.
Bryce?
yes,
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yes.
awesome. That's a very we had 3 completely ran it's like we're doing a Rubik's Cube and you're just turning the things,
yeah, very
Yeah.
much
and, like,
so.
because last week we had 3 hosts that have also, I think, never been in combo together on the Thursday, and so it's gonna be another good one this Thursday
Well,
for
I got
sure.
my voice
Definitely.
back, so they're putting me to
That's
work.
going to be
So,
helpful.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're on tonight, Wednesday, and Thursday?
yep.
Oh,
Uh oh.
man.
Hopefully she's
Yeah,
not down by then.
yeah.
Don't
Good
relapse.
grief. I I
No,
I have it explicitly written in my contract that I will not appear for more than 2 a week. So this
I'm
week's
making
my
up for this. I'm making up for this. Like I was on assignment 2 weeks in a row.
odd
So,
assignment. And I'll be on assignment this upcoming Monday, so because I'll be on vacation in Puerto Vallarta. So Skip is filling in for us. We're doing a watch
yay.
along next Monday, and Skip will be sitting in the co-host spot. As you guys know, we've announced this already. Skip is our permanent third host as we jump into Clone Wars Revisited coming later this year. So Skip and Ashley and I will be a 3-person panel every Monday with I
So
think
this
Jeff's still
is
producing, or we'll figure out if Skip or one of us can produce that. Give Jeff the night off, please. I think we'll figure that out, Jeff. So because we have there's always going to be more shows on the network too. It's always something.
Oh
And with
yeah.
that being said, our newest show, Bad Batch After Show, with the Jedi Archive boys, so Bryce and Mike and John. Uh, that comes on Friday. I believe they're recording Thursday, so it'll be it's always a pre-record for Fridays at
It'll be
midnight
fresh.
Pacific.
Yes.
Um, that will be the latest episode of Bad Batch, which I got to tell you, so far, 4 out of 4 excellent episodes. And I'm so happy to see the way the show has progressed. Similar to how like Rebels took a minute from like to like really take off. I feel like Bad Batch like took a minute, and now it's on par with I think season 3 of Rebels.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you stuck with it.
Yeah. Well, I was forced to. I'm not gonna lie and be like that this I had any say in it. But yeah, I'm glad I did too because season 2 was really great and season 3 has been excellent so far. And we're in the end game and it's intentional. We
I'm
are headed
scared.
toward a goal. They have a plan in place. They're not just making episodes to make episodes. I feel like everything is building to something. Like there's a story progressing. There's a direction we're headed. It just all feels planned out, which I think was the big complaint about the sequel trilogy is that things didn't feel planned out. This feels planned out.
I have to say that when they were talking about Pabu and sending like the clone kids to Pabu, I was just like, "Are they gonna get to Pabu? What's gonna happen?"
It's not going to
Like
be
I
anything
just,
good, I'll tell you that.
I'm
Um,
like, "Oh my god, they better not blow up Pabu. I'm be so pissed."
I think everyone just needs to prepare themselves mentally for the fact that most cast
Oh,
members, or
cannot.
not cast members, most characters within the Bad Batch are not making it out alive. Like, they're not going to kill Omega, but I don't think anyone's making it out except for her. Like, I really think like they're all going to bite the dust, and it's going to be Omega on her own, and it's going to be really sad because also we still have another 10 years before the timing of the classic trilogy. Where's she going? Like, and is she gonna age really fast? What if she's like an old lady by the time like A New Hope rolls around because like
Well,
she ages that
Emery is her
quickly?
sister, but she
Yeah, but
looks
like,
so much older.
and that's the thing, it's very unpredictable, the aging. So there's already
Yeah.
been rumors, or not rumors, but discussion on the various shows about like um uh all of them having but Crosshair in particular with a shaky hand. Is it aging, not just an injury, and they will like literally age to death in the next year or so, like all of a sudden. So I'm telling you, Spencer, we're not even putting your comments
No.
on.
No.
So
Uh-uh.
yeah, delete
Forget
it.
it.
Delete your account. So, oh, and I almost forgot there's one
Nar.
other show on the network this
Nar.
week, Unifying Force, on Sundays. On this Sunday, they're doing Visions season 2, part 2. They had a long discussion
Ooh.
last week or 2 weeks ago on Unifying Force where they covered Visions season 2, and I think they only made it about halfway through. So you got to check out the rest of that discussion this Sunday.
Good.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. It is all Bad Batch all the time over here, though. So if
It's
you're looking for a
exciting.
destination for Bad Batch, we've got you covered. And I'm sure on the happy hour tomorrow, people will be discussing it.
Oh, yeah, John says it could
Yeah,
be a flaw from the genetic tampering.
yeah, they're all broken in
Oh,
various ways. So and look, we're all headed toward why did Palpatine, somehow Palpatine returned. But it's fine. It's all about cloning. I think it's interesting. So
by the way, Ian was effing terrifying.
Ian was
Effing
great.
terrifying.
Yeah, he was so good.
And he's
Um,
such a nice man. Like I loved meeting
yeah,
him. I loved
I don't know
getting
how
a
he
photo with him.
channels this rage, but it's good stuff. Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah.
good.
All right. Well, I think that's everything
Good.
for this week. So be sure to check in on Wednesday to see Ashley again, doing Item Versio with Jamie on Daughters of the Galaxy.
So
And then
excited. Iden's
it
my
is,
girl.
yeah, I love her. And it's your week too. You're here on Thursday too.
Yep, definitely. Like I said, I got my voice back. I'm making up for lost time, and I'm so excited to be joining the guys and watching Bad Batch on Thursday night. I'll be watching Dune earlier in the afternoon, so I'll be fresh off of Dune, trying not
Excellent.
to lose my mind. And I'm so excited to be watching this and getting it to discuss it with everyone. Can't
Nice.
wait.
Well, I'll be away from Thursday to Tuesday. I
And
will not
you
be
get
checking
your
social media,
tan
emails, or
on.
texts. So I hope that everything runs fine without me because I'm not going to be around. So for everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks,
And I will see
guys.
you. I'll see you in 2 weeks. But
I'll see you in 2 days.
please check out. Yeah, please check out everything else on the network while I'm gone and enjoy your week. And to everyone else out there, may the force be with you.
Bye, guys.